The words second semester always bring back the same amazing memory. It was my first year in high school, and I was still a freshman, an awkward, skinny, tall boy. School was okay, I guess. A little less than I expected it to be, but whatever. Earlier on in the fall, our teacher had mentioned something about an exchange program with the school in France. I was interested, but I completely missed the deadline for the application. Luckily, my teacher came up to me and said, "Something happened, and there's one kid without a host, and I was wondering if you would like to host him." And I replied, "Sure, why not?" And there I was, at the airport. Like all the other hosts from my school, I was excited, ready, and impatient for them to arrive.
The friends are coming! Friends are coming right now!
And all of a sudden, I felt pretty nervous. I mean, everything about me is, well, how should I put it? Different. It was too late to change any of that now, anyway. I was already at the airport, about to meet someone I had only seen in a photo, and he'd be living with me for the next 2 weeks. I was enrolled in French that year, and coming into 9th grade, I only knew a few things about France from middle school. I knew that French kids like to hang out in cafes, they say oui oui oui, and they eat baguettes.
Hello, I'm Pierre-Antoine. I'm very happy to be there.
When I first saw Martin, I thought, wow, he wears tight clothing. But I really found it amazing that I got to meet this guy I'd been waiting for a month. There were other things I knew about France and its connections to the US. For example, in 1776, the French Navy played a key role in the final battle for the American Revolution, helping the US become an independent nation. But that wasn't the last time that the Americans and French would help each other. This alliance was one of the many historical connections between the US and France. But I also had my own connections with France. After picking Martin up from the airport, we took him to Chipotle's, a burrito chain. That night, he learned his first new English word, spicy. Martin had come here to get the American experience. And part of me wondered if I could give him that experience. Our house is different. The food we eat might be a bit weird for him. And my parents are, well, let's just say, interesting. I wondered if we'd even get along. For one of the few times in my life, I was actually excited to go to school the next day because I wanted to meet all the other French students and see how they were getting along with their hosts.
La première soirée, donc on est arrivé dans l'aéroport, c'était extraordinaire parce que tous les Américains étaient là, waouh! And we were wow!
C'est quelque chose qui m'a absolument surpris dans une maison d'avoir son propre écran de cinéma.
Et qui ont des grosses voitures, des gros 4x4, des gros pick-up.
C'est l'inconnu qui m'a rendu un petit peu, qui m'a stressé un petit peu.
J'étais un peu nerveuse de voir ma correspondante parce que je ne savais pas si on allait bien s'entendre.
Mais après avoir fait connaissance avec un gars, tout s'est bien passé.
Ce que je pensais de Josh avant, avec ses lettres et tout ça, je pensais qu'il était quelqu'un de beaucoup plus sérieux et qu'il travaillait beaucoup tous les soirs et tout ça. Et non.
Drôle, sympathique et charmante, et c'est exactement ce que je pensais d'elle.
Before he came, I kind of expected to be a serious kid, not really funny at all, but he really is funny. And serious when it's time to be serious.
Pour moi, les Américains, ce sont des personnes très grosses qui mangent des McDo à longueur de journée, qui font que manger.
C'est vrai qu'on entend souvent dire que les Américains sont tous obèses ou catch potatoes.
Les Français, à mon avis, du point de vue des Américains, les Français sont des gens sales, qui n'ont pas d'eau courante, qui n'ont pas tout le temps l'électricité. Ils ont une baguette sous le bras, la moustache, le béret, le journal dans la main, ils sont en vélo.
After a few days in school, we started to take the French students on field trips to keep them from getting bored in class. We visited two icons of Atlanta, the Martin Luther King Center and the Coke Museum. It was a lot of fun, but we also learned a great deal.
Je voulais voir the Coca-Cola Center, and because I love Coca-Cola.
Le souvenir qui va rester dans ma vie, c'était la visite de l'usine Coca-Cola. Parce que c'est le siège de Coca-Cola à Atlanta et il n'y en a qu'un.
Je pense que je vais me souvenir longtemps du musée du mémorial de Martin Luther King. Le film était très beau, vraiment, et surtout d'une porte qui était dans le musée sur laquelle c'était écrit qui peut prendre la tête d'un mouvement contre une injustice. Et quand on ouvrait la porte, c'était un miroir, et j'ai trouvé ça vraiment très beau.
After days in class with our French exchange students, it was finally time for the best part of the week. The weekend.
Here we go, guys!
We indulged our minds in intellectual activities. No, but seriously, we did teach them a lot more than just American teen culture. Martin and I were great friends at this point in the exchange. We had made so many good memories, but even the best of friends have certain boundaries. Although he was staying with me, and in theory, I could have made him go anywhere I wanted, I felt like there was a line that I needed to respect between him and me. A century and a half after the American Revolution, both the Americans and French soldiers fought side by side on the European front during World War I. Their mutual struggles further developed a connection that was formed over 100 years earlier. In addition to the US and France, many other countries joined the Allies in the war. Thousands of Indian soldiers of the Sikh faith gave their lives for the defense of France during the war. My ancestors and Sikh heritage had all of a sudden developed roots in France in 1914, giving me a connection to the French. Religion is always one of those topics that can split even the closest of friends. But I did want Martin to come see my Gurdwara. Feeling pretty nervous, I finally popped the question. And no, not will you marry me, but would you come see what a Sikh temple is like? Of course, I had to be straightforward with him and tell him what it would be like, because sometimes the service does take a really long time. I thought there was no way he'd want to sit cross-legged on the floor for that long, listening to something that he wouldn't even understand. I guess it's a good thing to be wrong sometimes. He didn't just give me the politically correct yes, but he even asked me if he could wear some of my traditional Sikh clothing.
We got Martin to wear our traditional clothing, and it was funny because he said he was actually interested in it, and so we found one of my old ones that would fit him, and I think he found it pretty different. Just going to our temple, our gurdwara, it's just a completely different culture, and I think he's if by him getting to experience that, it would have been a really big shock to him, but also something that was a good experience.
Enfin, c'est vraiment instructif de voir aussi les... Enfin, moi, comme je suis pas tombé dans une famille américaine type, j'ai pu voir une religion que je connaissais pas beaucoup, les Sikhs, et enfin, c'était vraiment instructif.
After that Sunday at Gurdwara, embarrassingly enough, Martin and I became known as the first bromance of the year. And from then on, we weren't just good friends. We were like peanut butter and jelly.
I love the French, and I can't find another part of the year that I've loved more than having this exchange student in my house.
He likes flaming hot Cheetos. I didn't really think that the French would like that. He was a really good cook.
He cooked anything for you?
Crepes.
À l'école, j'aimerais vraiment rentrer en France là que les teachers, je sais plus comment est-ce qu'on dit en français, soient comme aux États-Unis, que l'école soit comme aux États-Unis, que les gens soient comme aux États-Unis. En fait, à mon avis, je vais regretter les États-Unis.
Avant de partir, j'aimerais beaucoup dépenser tout mon argent au mall.
Qu'est-ce que tu voudrais acheter au mall? Pour toi, pour ta famille?
J'aimerais acheter quelques vêtements et puis un milkshake à Josh.
It makes you be able to create bonds with someone, even when it's in the most difficult of situations, when there is a complete lack of communication and you're not able to sometimes express your true feelings, but you're still able to get things across, and you can create a bond unlike any other between all these friends, Americans and French.
People most of the time are really different than the way you think they're going to be like. For example, we weren't fast food eating, Walmart shopping, insular Americans, and they weren't arrogant, snail eating, smelly French. We were friends, or les amis. In 1944, the US and other Allied troops helped liberate Paris from Germany, helping France become an independent nation, just like the French had done for the Americans 170 years earlier. Being an American, our country's years of shared history with France gave me my second connection to the French. I came to France and Neuf-Chapelle to explore these two connections I had with the French. My connection as an American and my connection as a turban-wearing Sikh. But I realized that France had recently passed a law that restricts religious symbols in schools, such as crosses, hijabs, yarmulkes, and turbans.
Je trouve pas ça très juste de pas pouvoir porter le turban ou le voile. Enfin, je comprends pas pourquoi. Donc, enfin, je vois pas pourquoi on pourrait pas porter les symboles religieux de notre religion.
The French students weren't just interested in America as a whole, but America is a bunch of individuals. And I think that individually, we showed them what America really is.
Pour moi, l'Amérique, c'est géant et accueillant.
Je dirais également awesome, mais vraiment des gens très amicaux, toujours souriants, vraiment super.
My favorite French student. She's ours. I'm yours. Qu'est-ce que je veux dire quoi?
Il y a qu'un mot à dire, c'est awesome.
Je pense qu'ici, il n'y a pas beaucoup de Français qui sont pressés de rentrer chez eux finalement, même s'il y a la famille et les amis qui attendent, parce qu'on a vécu des choses absolument formidables ici. Donc,
C'est la meilleure façon de voyager en échange avec des gens parce qu'on est vraiment impliqué dans la vie et c'est comme ça au final qu'on se baigne le plus dans le pays qu'on visite.
Moi, au début, j'étais stressé j'avais peur de l'inconnu en fait. Et en connaissant bien ma famille, tout s'est bien passé.
By getting to know him so well, I really got to learn about France through a more personal level.
Even though you live in a different part of the world with like a different language and stuff, like you're really not that different. Ça nous permet de nous créer des opinions nous-mêmes et du coup les vraies.
Enfin, on arrive avec une idée du pays ou de l'endroit où on arrive et on revient mais on est changé en fait.
Kids stop stereotyping as much and they see that the stereotypes are incorrect or some of them are correct, but you're able to see that through your own eyes and not just through TV. You can see how neat it is that a teenager thousands of miles away can be just like you.
Je voudrais remercier toutes les personnes que j'ai rencontrées ici parce que vraiment tout le monde a été chaleureux, accueillant, très très amical, etc.
Ce que je voudrais leur dire, c'est que je les aime très fort et je les remercie de m'avoir accueilli.
Thank you very much for everything. I really enjoyed staying in your family and you're so nice and I will miss you.
C'est qu'ils me manqueront beaucoup et que ce sera dur, enfin ça va être dur de les quitter après avoir passé 2 semaines chez eux.
For 15 years of my life, I was an only child. And most people my age would tell me, wow, you're so lucky you don't have a brother or sister. And before Martin came, it was hard to imagine that something that had been the same for 15 years of my life would change. But now that I think about it, it's going to be harder going back to being an only child. The American-French connection has been growing since the time of the American Revolution, over 230 years ago. And just 2 weeks ago, 32 French students came here, creating another connection between the two countries. Martin was my third connection to France, and all the other American hosts had made their own individual connections. However, in order for me to go to school in France, French law would make me cut off one of my 3 connections to France. But maybe the exchange program will open new doors for everyone. And maybe, one day, I'll see my own children walk through them. After the exchange, we all felt that we were almost French. Almost.